Hello and welcome, beautiful people, to RLP is Healing. I am your host, Tammy, and today I have the honor of speaking with the incredible Esther. Esther is someone that I met on TikTok about 3 years ago, and we just hit it off and knew that we were supposed to be connected. She is a fierce advocate, a loving mother, and a talented singer who is redefining what it means to live life without limits. She's inspired by her daughter, and she draws strength from love and resilience, using her voice to uplift and empower the blind community. She's a fashion lover, a true inspiration, and living proof that no challenge or circumstance can stand in the way of a life fully and beautifully lived. So get ready for this uplifting conversation that will touch your heart and open your mind with Seeing Beyond Sight. Hello and welcome to RLP is Healing. I am your host, Tammy, and today we have one of my favorite ladies on. Her name is Esther. And I, of course, have had the pleasure to be able to call her sis.
Mm.
And we met on TikTok about 2 or 3 years back. And you guys get ready to hear a beautiful story of blindness and empowerment. So, hey, Esther, how are you doing today?
Hey, Tammy. I'm doing great today, and thank you so much for that warm welcome. I am truly honored just to be here to tell my story and just help however I can. Because it is a journey, and it is worth going through and understanding um this lifestyle.
Oh wow. I cannot wait to hear about your journey, Esther. Many people know that my mom is legally blind, and I was truly excited and honored to have you on because I feel that your insight and your experience will be able to help me when it comes to assisting my mom. And I feel that it will be able to help anyone that hears this to be able to assist a family member that is legally blind, going through a transformation in becoming not being able to like to see, you
Yeah.
know, feel a lot of us take that for granted. And I'm going to start with what's something people would be surprised to learn about you?
um that I really can't see. um and I do sing. um I also volunteer at my church um as a leader that helps the homeless. um we do it once every other month on a third Friday. And it's surprising to see a blind, visually impaired person organize, um, giving away food with, cooking. And of course, I don't do it by myself, I do it with a lot of the church members. But it's surprising that someone who can't see can run a kitchen. And also serve the homeless. I think that's something that a lot of people don't think that is possible. And not only that, I model. I'm getting ready to model in New York City.
Whoop,
Um,
whoop. Congratulations.
yeah, And that's another thing that is surprising for most people is to see a blind person dress and wear makeup and do graphics and all that type of stuff. So yeah.
I would like to say so to the audience, let me tell you, Esther looks mighty fierce. She is one fierce woman. Her makeup and things like that, like, I'll say, Esther, I'm a little jelly because I am not that great with the makeup. So I would like to know something, and I want to make sure that it's okay for me to ask this, and you can be like, no, I don't want to answer. Were you born blind or did you lose your sight?
I was not born blind, but I did have some vision, issues that most people have that considers um they don't really consider it vision loss. They mainly think that by fixing it with glasses that it's fine. So I had some of those type of issues. But in 2015, I went in for a surgical procedure that ended up causing me to be permanently legally blind. Um, and that was one of the devastating part because I was still in college at the time, um, going for organizational leadership. I had just graduated with associate's degree in criminal justice. So, my life was just, I felt like it was over because I couldn't see the way that they say they were going to fix it for me to see.
Oh, wow. An associate's in criminal justice?
Yeah,
That's amazing. And so this surgery was actually supposed to assist you to see better.
correct.
Okay.
Um, I woke up during the surgery 3 times while they were still cutting into me. So and that's what caused the damage because of me waking up and them continuing to cut into the eye, causing severe damage.
Okay. Now, how did you deal with processing being becoming blind? Like, how did you deal with that emotionally and even mentally, being able to process this?
Well, for start, you know, um, I thought my life was over. Um, because I also was dealing with a custody battle. And if anybody is aware, like when you're a single mother in a custody case going in a court system, they're automatically trying to figure out who's going to be best fit for the child. And being having a disability such as not being able to see has its really strong stigmas, where people think that because you can't see, you can't do for a child, you can't do for yourself or anything. And so my life was pretty much at that starting point kind of shattered because I couldn't believe that these doctors that were supposed to fix something caused me harm and damage and just left me to the wayside to be pretty much what they say, left you out for the wolves to be taken.
Hmm. Yes. Wow. Esther, I had no, I had no idea that you went through that. Again, thank you so much for coming on and sharing this with
Yeah.
us, with myself and the listeners. Another thing that I do want to ask right now is that since you are a single mom,
Hmm.
what has been, one or two of the biggest challenges when it comes to being, legally blind? And how have you been able to overcome those challenges?
Well, I can say, had I not gone to a blind center um, that had support groups. They also had training. Um, and honestly, some may disagree in my blind community, but had my daughter not have been the age that she was, my fear is that I probably would have lost her um, completely because of
Mhm.
the issues in our state with becoming a parent being blind. So there's, like I said, there's those stigmas where they think that blind people can't do for themselves. So they automatically will take your child away from you.
Mhm.
Um, so my daughter for the I guess I would say the first couple years, she was about 5 or 6. She was terrified of me. Um, it took a while for her to come um to be comfortable around me. Um, and even me coming to her school, because I had to wear a blindfold. That was a part of my training for about 6 years, to learn how to navigate with using my cane and using my other senses,
Mhm.
um, to not rely on just part of the sight that I have left. So that was kind of terrifying to my child, seeing her mom come to school with this blindfold on her face every day to pick her up. So I think she was about 8 years, maybe 7 or 8, before she was comfortable with her mom being around her.
My mom had a challenge with that, with the blindfold, because for those of you that don't know, Esther and I live close enough to where my mom actually had gone to a portion, I guess a portion or a part of the program in my area.
Mm,
And it just so happens that we actually, Esther and I just found this out yesterday, that the blind center that she is a part of as well is the same one that my mom is also a part of. And my mom really struggled with the blinder things on. She
mm-hmm,
really did struggle a lot with that. And you know, it was, well, it was a very big misconception to me. I didn't know there was all levels, like there were so many different levels of blindness.
mm-hmm. Yeah.
And what's a misconception that you've noticed from people when it comes to blindness?
I would say that the misconception is that people think that blindness is in total darkness, um, or that someone who wears eyeglasses is completely sighted, and that's not true.
Mhm.
Um, you have levels of blindness where people who are totally blind from just light alone, where they can't make out images, it's just straight whiteness. You have something called shadow, where people are kind of like ghost like figures, you know.
Mhm.
And that's the only way that they can see people or see things. Um, I have a combination of all those different types. Um, and I use like different equipments. And that's another thing. Like people think with when you're using your phone in a certain way, like a magnifier, oh, you can see, you're fine, you know? And that is further from the truth. Another misconception is people think that, like in our community, some say that being totally blind is actually better than someone who is like me, who's visually impaired. And the reason why is because when you're born sighted or have some form of sight, your mind and your natural ability is to try to see what you can't see.
Oh, wow. Wow. Like,
And
I
yeah,
could see that.
yeah.
Wow.
And like for me, I don't have peripheral vision, so it's like a horse with blinders. I try to use metaphors that people understand, for people who are who are considered to be sighted. We call you sighted people. you know, so like a horse. If you think like a horse with blinders, they can't see on their side. They can only see straight ahead. So like for me, I have to like turn my head in certain angles to see in a 365 angle, you know, and I
Mhm.
have to like try to see what I'm making out, because whatever that I can't see in my peripheral is completely just gone and
Oh,
I'll miss it.
okay.
So I'm constantly keeping my head maybe to like the right or left just to try to see what is there. And that's why people who are totally blind would say that it's harder for a person who's visually impaired, because over time that causes either pain, headaches, other issues, because you're constantly straining the eyes to try to see what it can.
Oh, you know what? I could, like I was saying before, I could totally see that um as being a challenge. My mom, like I was saying, I do see her struggling, especially during the winter time.
Mm-hmm.
She has an even harder time with
Mm-hmm.
seeing. My mom has retinal pigmentosis,
Mm-hmm.
and that is, from my understanding, this is something that is not curable. So
Yeah.
it's just something that continues to go. She continues to deal with it, continues to get worse. You brought up about the tools and the technologies and different things like that. I found, like, I will be honest, I didn't wish that on my mom, but there's so many things that now, like, she's brought home that are pretty interesting and pretty
Mm-hmm.
cool. Can you tell us about some of the tools and technologies that you've been using that have helped you adapt?
So I have an iPhone, and this is also on all different types of cell phones, which is called VoiceOver. And so it's like an audio descriptive where it reads everything for you. So like for a person who's visually impaired or even blind, they can hear things that they're touching on their phone to make like phone calls, to even, make a text to anybody, to even email and such. Another thing is the Zoom feature that all cell phones have, which is it's almost like a double tap, triple tap type thing. So in our world, it's all about tapping.
Oh, well, you know me. You know that I love the tapping. So I'm like, this sounds good.
It's all about the tapping with the fingers on the phones, because we have to be able to hear the different gestures that the phones is suggesting for us to use for, like, navigating the phone. And those things help us to be more accessible like everybody else, to do everything like normal people do with their, well, not normal, but we're normal. What everybody does on their phone. Another cool thing is, some people like, well, how do they do, websites or computers? Um, there's something called JAWS, and also Zoom text. Those things help, like, individuals like me who are totally blind can work in businesses that jobs are supposed to provide. They even have like something called a CCTV screen reader, which
Yes,
is like,
we used to have one.
yep, it's almost like a big like a TV. They come in like big size TVs, and
Yes.
you could put like books and paper underneath like a camera like thing, and it has lights, and you can change the color depending on the version of it, because some of them are older models, some of them are newer models. I have something which is an updated one. I think it's like a 2024 version, and it goes 365 in a whole room.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, like it has a camera. So like if I was in a classroom or like a college and I was like sitting on like the top row, I can see all the way down to the professor's like board of whatever he's writing or whatever without even being up close because of the magnifier from the camera. And I can change the color of the wall. So if he was writing in like black ink, I can change it to a different color. That's another thing. Some people's vision impairment or blindness um, is affected by certain colors. So, like yellow, sometimes they can make it out better. Some of them might say yellow is too bright, so they'll tone it down to like maybe a blue or a green. It depends on whatever their spectrum is of their
See,
blindness.
I completely understand that because mom, she can do black background with
Mm-hmm.
white writing.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And then she's really able to like really be able to see it
Correct.
when it's got that background. Wow, that is so cool about being up in the nosebleeds in the college class and be able to see it. You know,
Yes.
I'll be open. I can't even see that good. Like my glass. Thank goodness for my glasses, let me tell you. Now, you know, one thing I will have to say that I am truly, truly, I, when you told me through message that you were blind, I was so surprised. I had no idea. Now, of course, because you don't just ask someone that,
Mm-hmm.
but we had DM'd each other numerous times. I had
Mm-hmm.
seen you in my lives when I was doing the meditation, and you liked my videos, commenting. I feel that, would you say that the the ability to be able to live a life fulfilled with being blind has gotten better when it comes to technology and things?
Yes. And I believe that's the main reason as to why the organization that uh, hello.
Hi, I'm still here.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's why the organization that we're a part of is fighting so hard about accessibility technology, because I don't think I would have been able to even be on TikTok or do the things that I normally do without these accessibility technology equipments or even the training, because a lot of blind centers or a lot of states do not even have blind centers. So you have individuals like myself or who are totally blind think that their life is completely over and there's nothing else to do. Now they do have some assistance and with some ophthalmologies might provide something called low vision, like a low
Mhm.
vision doctor that will analyze what your IQT is and make you legally blind. But once they do that, they'll just hand you a cane and say, I'm sorry, and that's it. And a lot of people have committed suicide because of those things, because they don't think that life can continue to go on, because it's not enough public information on the accessibility the
Mhm.
advocacy and the things that we do, because we do a lot of great things.
I see that. I will see that. So, speaking of accessibility and inclusion, I would like to know what are some changes that you feel need to happen in the world to be more inclusive? Like, I feel that our world is so ignorant, even myself,
Hmm.
when it comes to the blindness community. I was so impressed and so I didn't even know my head was spinning when I met these amazing people in my mom's group.
Hmm.
You know, what are some things you think that could change in this world to be more inclusive?
I think honestly, it starts with our community to make it more publicized. Um, I don't know if you know that our organization partnered with another blind organization to create the Barbie, the blind Barbie, that was out in the news. Um, and also they partner with NASA to try to create a new car. Now I know some people be like, "Oh, I don't think we want blind people driving on the road," but but
But
but the way that technology is going, it's not possible. I think it
yeah.
is 100% possible. I think it needs to be more publicized. I think we need to show
Mhm.
more of the things that we're doing so that people can feel more comfortable with the idea that blindness is just another way of life, of just almost like losing your arm and still being a human being. Um, that helps. And also with I know we're dealing with a lot with our government, but
Mhm.
um,
Mhm.
but sadly it's not on the ballot enough of what people can vote for to make it more accessible. Like a lot of jobs can make things like accessible, like their computers with coding, which
Mhm.
is very easy to do. um, but they don't do it because they feel like they don't have to do it when it is in their policies to do so. But because we're not voting on these things, no matter what party you belong to, is what's causing a lot of problems. And we have to fight against ophthalmology too. Not
Mhm.
maybe against them, but work with them to get them to understand that if you mess up on our eyes, doesn't mean that you can just throw us away.
Yes. And that right there, what's one thing that I do want to ask, because I I am a family member of someone in the community. How can like what can individuals like myself do to support and advocate better for accessibility? What can I do?
I would say go to the meetings, go to the conventions with your mom. The more she's involved in the meetings and the more that you are involved with your mom in these meetings, the more you'll learn, because then you'll meet so many people that will give you the tools and resources. And it could be fun because they go to different states and you get to travel with your mom, and your mom, she will become more and more confident within herself because she's going to be surrounded by people who are just like her. For years I thought because I had a little bit of sight, there's no way I'm blind, until I actually walked into a bus.
Mhm.
And that was
Yeah.
when I was like literally like training with my mobility trainer. I know she has to know about mobility trainer.
Yes.
He was laughing. I mean, I literally walked smack dab into a bus.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to laugh.
No, it's funny now, but it wasn't funny then. And I'm like touching the bus. Thank God the bus was literally at park, like on a light or something. But I'm in the street touching this bus, and the bus, and people are yelling at my mobility trainer, like, why the F will you have this girl walking in the street? But those moments is what I can laugh about. And in the blind community, we can laugh about a lot of our struggles and issues. I mean, heck, we were in one meeting where some of us was literally playing like what you call it, the spears with our canes in the hallway, like spears. But those are the joy and moments that makes you feel like you're just accepted and you're human. And that no matter if you can't see well, you can still just live your life.
Yes. And I love that. I went to one of mom's groups. She got to lead the group for the day and pick out lunch and all that other stuff. And I did a meditation for the group.
Awesome.
And it was so amazing, like the experience that they had, the experience that I had, that it was really a beautiful thing. And speaking of meditation, and you already know, it's ROP is healing,
Yes.
it's my jam. So I have a question for you. Has blindness deepened your connection with yourself?
Yes, because I literally have to rely on my other senses now more so than anything else, of more than my eyes. So I have to go by touch, I have to go by feel, and I have to go by memory. So a lot of times I'm talking to myself in my mind a lot.
So would you say mindful meditation is something that works really well for you?
Yes. Yes.
Yay, meditation. So what's also too, what are some things that has built resilience and inner strength in you? Because like you already know, I think you are, and mind you, we could say bad words. I think you are one bad bitch, Miss Queen Esther. I have to say so myself because I see you doing amazing things, modeling. So, like, what are some things that you do, to build that inner strength?
I would say, well, what started for me was what I when people said I couldn't go out anywhere by myself
Hmm.
after I did the training for a long time. I think it was over six years with the blindfold. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna just take a walk. I walk for, I think it was 21 miles in one day,
Oh, wow.
and I completed it in one day because after um my malpractice case, when I had lost the case, um I was just really just devastated,
Hmm.
because I thought within the case that I was going to regain my sight, because the whole goal for me was, sue the doctors to get them to do the surgery so my eyesight can be fixed. That's another thing about being misconception, this misconception,
Hmm.
that these doctors, they'll push the idea of surgery. Oh, we're going to fix it. We're going to fix it. We're going to fix it. And sometimes you have to tell yourself or tell them, no, I'm fine where I'm at. And
Hmm.
that's okay to be fine where you are. And it took a long time for me to tell the doctors no, because I was so afraid, because these were, supposed to be powerful people that are supposed to be helping me. And I found, and I'm not saying that it wouldn't help other people, because it does help people, but I'm
Hmm.
saying that for a person who went blind through malpractice, that sometimes you have to be okay with being the way that you are, and that you have to be able to speak up to say, enough is enough. I'm not doing anymore. And that I'm okay where I'm at. And I took that walk, 21 miles. And when I completed it, I went to my group, my support group, and I said, guess what, guys? I went somewhere by myself.
See, oh, I love that. I freaking love that. And I was just going to ask you, if you could give some advice, but I feel like you just gave the best advice. Believe in yourself and say, hey, this is where I am, and I'm going to go from here. And then you can take this, 21-mile walk by yourself.
By myself. And I met so many people who've done things by themselves, because another thing with my mobility training, and I believe Baltimore does the same thing, where once you're done a certain period of training, they will suggest that you go somewhere. Now, this is where you do travel by yourself, where you literally have to either do a flight or even a train ride somewhere completely by yourself. With the amount of training that you had, this is like when you're like way past, the training,
Mhm.
and you're like almost like a professional at this now.
Like a
you
black
know?
belt, like a black belt in
Yeah.
the blindness.
And I literally had to do something like that, where I had to go to Erie, Pennsylvania by myself, with a blindfold on. And my family was like, excuse my French, like almost shitting in their pants, because they were like, you're going where?
Oh, wow. See that, you know what? I don't know if mom's ready for that yet, but she will be.
Yes, she will be. And that's another thing. You also asked about how, as a family member, can you be supportive? There's going to be times where it may look scary to you, but when we are too helpful, it can prevent them from being independent for themselves.
Mhm.
And by being a support is also helping yourself not to be overly helpful, but just being helpful enough where
Mm.
they can do things for themselves. And when they ask for help, it's fine, but don't help too much, because then you don't want to over cuddle them.
Okay.
Um, and that's something my family had to learn. I mean, it was times they wanted to fight my mobility trainer.
Same, same, same. I'm like, I had to leave a few times. I was like, okay, mom, I'll be back. I'll see you after you're done. Because I was like, who are you talking? What are you having my mom do? See, and that, yeah,
And
I, yeah,
it's
totally noted.
important that they have to do it, because you're not relying on your sight. So therefore, you got to be able to do things that may look scary to other, even like walking into a bus, but
Ooh,
or a
ooh.
wall. But it's something that you'll learn not to do again. It's almost like touching the fire. We learned that fire is hot by touching it
Mm-hmm.
or being close to it. And it's the same thing when it comes down to training. We have to learn how to navigate the streets, because the streets are not kind, even for people who are fully sighted, right?
Yes, yes.
When you can't see, you have to be able to rely on all your senses to maintain that safety for yourself. And it's like fighting, like a fighter. They
Mm-hmm.
have broken bones.
Yes, that is true. Well, Esther, I want to tell you, thank you so much for joining me. And I want to let everybody know, hey guys, you can most definitely find, I like to call her Queen Esther, on TikTok. You can find her on IG, and you can also find her. Can they find you on Facebook?
Yes.
You can find her on Facebook as well. And Queen, what is one takeaway before we leave today? What is one takeaway that you would like the listeners to remember?
The saying is, never judge a book by its cover. I would say never judge a blind person by their blindness.
I love that. I love that. Esther, again, thank you so much for joining me. Everyone, thank you for listening. And we're going to have some different takeaway notes where you can find some resources, maybe some organizations in your area, and have a beautiful evening, afternoon, whatever it is for you, and happy healing.
Thank you.